Hello, everyone. Well, the day is finally here. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is breakfast. Breakfast, everybody's favorite meal of the day, but it's more of a brunch. You can eat whatever you want to eat on breakfast, with the exception of, human beings. You don't want to eat human beings, but you can eat anything you want on breakfast, and it's a wonderful meal. It's a gorgeous spread. Even if you're a vegan, if you want to, you can still be a vegan, or else you can eat meat on breakfast. It's up to you. Allow yourself one day of the year that you eat meat. But I could not be a vegan. I'll tell you why I couldn't be a vegan. It was because I had very severe allergies, and the very severe allergies didn't go away, and I became allergic to more and more and more things. The allergies didn't go away until I ate meat again. So that's why I'm not a vegan anymore. I don't recommend it for anyone because it's bad for your immune system. But was my immune system was totally out of whack. The only thing that brought it back into line was meat. That was it. So I had to eat meat. But other than that, and I was a vegan for 3 years. I really stuck it out. So tomorrow breakfast, you can eat whatever you want to, and with the exception of human beings. And you can. Do you know that there were some sick people that were donating their bodies, their cadavers, to a restaurant that serves human meat? That was so disgusting. I couldn't believe it. I was sickened by the very thought. People would want to eat human meat. Would go to a restaurant where people had donated their bodies to be eaten. I think that was in Japan. I don't recommend that. No, that's off limits. That's off limits for me. But it should be off limits for you too. Whoever you are. Because cannibalism is so wrong. But anyway, back to the subject of breakfast. So we're breaking our fast for whatever we were eating before that. We gave up grains for the holiday. Gave up grains, and that was so we wouldn't be constipated. We want to undo constipation. We want to eat plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole fruits and vegetables, not juiced. But you can have juice also. You just have to be sure that you still get your solid vegetables in there somehow. And so purification is over. Breakfast has begun. So you can make your plans today for tomorrow, Wednesday, whatever you want to eat. Make a meal plan. Or else you could go out to eat. After all, it is a holiday. So you could spare yourself some cooking. Anyway, just wanted to let you know that Festival of the Maiden it has begun, and I wanted to give a sermon, not a earth shaking sermon, not the Sermon of the Mount or anything spectacular like that, but just a sermon for just a sermon for the Festival of the Maiden. Now, what do we know about the Maiden? The Maiden is brand new. Maiden is new. She's fresh. She's innocent. She's just emerged from her cocoon. And what is the Maiden? The Maiden goddess is the youthful aspect of goddess. The goddess when she was just brand new, and she's still around, but part of her is aged into the mother, and another part of her is aged into the crone. And so, why am I giving a sermon today for the maiden? Because people have fallen so far from where the maiden is that I needed to comment on it. Because where the maiden is innocent and pure and beautiful, people are jaded and corrupt and ugly. They're so far away from where the maiden is at, and that they've lost their connection with the maiden. They've lost their connection. They've lost their souls to corruption and to corrupt people. And so people who have allowed themselves to become corrupted and who don't try to do the right thing all the time and resist evil. They resist doing evil. They resist evil thoughts. I know that Jesus said, "Resist ye not evil," but that's not what he meant. That's archaic language saying don't resist evil being done to you by others. That's what that means. So it's not the same thing as resisting evil in yourself. In yourself, you must wage an epic battle against your own evil proclivities and not do evil things. So, just thought I'd clarify that for those of you who are Christians, that that's what Jesus meant. He didn't mean that you shouldn't resist being evil or doing evil. That you should resist. You should be strong against it, and stand up against it in yourself. It's a self struggle, self purification. And so, this Festival of the Maiden, I want you to concentrate and see. Think about some of the things that have happened recently. There's been a shooting on Easter Sunday, which is very religiously significant to a lot of people. There was a shooting, and one was dead, and 5 others were wounded and taken to local hospitals. It was a mass shooting in a restaurant. In a restaurant, I think that was in Nashville. And then there were, although don't quote me on that, I'm not sure if it's Nashville or not, but I thought that was Nashville. And then there was a 13-year-old girl that shot an 11-year-old boy in the head because somebody left the guns out and they were playing with the guns. And it's just such terrible things have been happening. I think we recall not so long ago that there was a unit called Scorpion that beat a man to the ground, dragged him out of his car, beat him up, roughed him up, and then left him for dead. And there was the man who drove into a crowd. It was a crowd of there were pedestrians, and he was driving all over the place with his maybe stolen car, hitting all the people with his car, killing as many pedestrians as he possibly could with his car until he finally crashed and couldn't drive anymore. And then he tried to escape. There's that guy. There's the guy that entered a frat house, was part of it was the room and board for a woman and her friends and her boyfriend, and he killed them all in their sleep and then escaped. And they caught him. They matched his DNA to the garbage. And also, there's been many mass shootings recently. Many mass shootings. There was the mass shooting at that Walmart store. The disgruntled manager was shooting. And yeah, I know there were a lot of shootings where there were black folk, but there were also a lot of shootings with white folk also that were doing the shooting. So it was, I guess it was a balance of 50-50 either way. But um, these things, they just keep happening. Stabbings. There was a guy who recently who was uh, stabbing someone, and they were running for their lives. People were running for their lives. It was stabbing everyone in sight. All these things mean one thing. They mean the breakdown of society, civilized society, and corruption that's deepening and getting worse and worse with each passing day. It all started, remind you that this all started with Columbine. The Columbine kids went in with guns and started shooting everyone in sight. When the Columbine kids started shooting everyone in sight, that was the beginning of the corruption that spread all over. And it was gradually increased and got more and more. First it was slow. There was maybe a year between mass shootings after Columbine was copycats. And then it got worse and worse and worse. Now we hear about a mass shooting every day. And sometimes 2 mass shootings in a day. So it's gotten really, really bad. And it's because people are corrupt. Their parents are responsible because their parents didn't raise them right. Parents raised them to be shooters. But also, schools are responsible too because they are responsible for the schools are responsible for instilling morals and mores into their students while they're away from their parents. And instead, the teachers who are corrupt themselves, corrupted by their parents, been spreading malicious behavior to their students. They've been a bad influence on their students, and now their students are corrupted by their teachers. And the students corrupt each other on the playground. They get it from their parents, and then they come to school and corrupt other people by bullying them. And anyone who says that these mass shootings aren't the result of bullying, they don't know squat, because these kids are bullied whether they admit it or not. Some of them don't want to admit they were bullied because they sense that would make them perceived as weak. So some of them don't even leave a journal behind or any written testimony as to why they did what they did, because they don't want to be perceived as weak. They want their ultimate statement to the world to be the shooting. But they don't want to admit their weakness. And I've seen this before. I've seen this in many people that want to pretend like everything's hunky-dory with them, but they're so negative. They're so negative. They're steeped in negativity. You know something's wrong, but they won't admit it because that would make them perceived as weak. It's very childish. Yes, I know, but that's the way a lot of people are. They're stuck in their bad childhoods. It's a weakness that they have to hide because they were bullied. And because they were bullied, they have to hide their weakness. But is there any way we can undo this? Yes. Raise your children to have moral compass and moral fiber. Raise your children to have a moral compass, moral fiber, and to be survivors. Survivors on the playground, survivors in school, survivors at home. Teach them to be survivors and teach them to be moral and to practice kindness when there's any doubt about what is kind or what is right or what is wrong, to choose what they realize is good versus evil. You have to teach them what's good and what's evil, and then their moral compass takes over and they fly right. They fly right. They don't deviate. That's another thing that's been happening. The planes have been experiencing turbulence, and the planes haven't been put together very well, so there's manufacturer's faults, like that door that got ripped open when the plane was at 30,000 feet and the door ripped open and the people were exposed to the wind that was trying to drag them out the door. That was negligence. And this new generation has become very negligent. They're not as honorable as their parents, so they're not as thoroughgoing, and they're not as dedicated to quality as their parents were. And so because they're not dedicated to quality, all of these things have started happening that never happened before. So we need to bolster the moral fiber of this country. We need to bolster the moral fiber. I would suggest, for bolstering moral fiber, I would suggest Goddess, turning to Goddess. But if you are a Christian or Jewish or Muslim or whatever other religion you are, you can certainly turn to your God for moral fiber, not because that God is going to answer your prayers and make everything all right, but because Goddess answers prayers. She's the ultimate recipient of all prayers. But if you pray to your God, you will find your moral compass, because that's what you're dedicated to. That's what you love. That's like your true love. And you don't want to disappoint your true love, so that would bolster your moral compass. And so we start with ourselves, and then we teach our children to have a moral compass and to follow their moral compass and to be upright, outstanding people. We try to shield our kids as much as we can from bad things happening to them, like bullying, getting teased. But we can't be there for them all the time because we have to work. So because we can't be there for them all the time and we have to work, means that the kids are pretty much on their own and they have to fight it out themselves. And so a moral compass will come in handy when they're on the playground, and they'll know that it's all right to fight back against the bully, but not physically with fisticuffs, but with words. But it's not all right to bully others with their words, especially somebody who's innocent that hasn't done anything to them. That is moral compass. That is direction for a child's life that stays with them when they're in trouble. So that's it. And it's just so much corruption now. I don't know why the new generation is so corrupt. Why is the young people, why is this the one generation of young people that's totally dissatisfied with our country and with the way things are going and has no moral satisfaction? It's because of the corruption that's out there. And the corruption shows itself in these evil deeds that people do. But you and I, we're going to be strong. We're going to be strong. We're going to maintain our moral compass. And we're not going to let anyone take it away from me. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf signing off. You guys take care and have a great Festival of the Maiden. And I'll see you next time.